Hello, I'm audible. Hello, thank you so much. It's a very network issue. So yeah, we will start right now. Give me a second. Respected ma'am and my dear participants, a very good evening to all of you. I, Paras Chum, welcome you on the first class of our 45-day advanced legal drafting course. To begin this, let me introduce you to the Legal Vidya to you all. It is an edtech platform established in 2021 committed to nurturing legal education and empowering the next generation of legal professionals. Our platform offers a wide range of opportunities, including internships, webinars, workshops, and specialized courses, all designed to cater to various learning needs within the legal domain. In addition to formal education, Legal Vidya provides a space for publishing articles and showcasing your expertise, fostering a vibrant community of legal discourse and knowledge overview. Now, I would like to give you an overview of this course. The 45-day advanced legal drafting course has been meticulously designed to provide a comprehensive understanding and practical training in both criminal and civil drafting. Throughout the course, we will cover the essential elements of court procedures, drafting key legal documents, and applying legal principles in real world class. Whether you are familiar with the basics or just getting starting the syllabus covers, we will cover all the topics from legal documents, drafting to court procedures, ensuring you develop the skills necessary for effective legal drafting in both criminal and civil matters. Now, what are the objectives when you will complete this course? You will understanding the structure of Indian courts and the stages of criminal and civil proceedings. You can identify and draft key legal documents such as first information reports, complaints, and petitions, notices, applications under various sections of the Criminal Procedure Code, which is the Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita, and Civil Procedure Code. Draft documents like applications for bail, appeals, revisions, special leave petitions, and handle documents related to arbitration. And you will gain practical skills in handling electronic evidence as well as drafting in fields like family law and consumer protection. Now, I have the honor to introduce our esteemed speaker, Ms. Shivani Gupta ma'am. Ms. Shivani Gupta ma'am is a distinguished law professional and faculty member at KGK PG College, Moradabad, Uttar Pradesh. She is a gold medalist in LLM in intellectual property law from IFTM University and also holds an LLB from Mahatma Jyotibai Phule Rohilkhand University. Currently, she is pursuing her PhD in law from Invertis University. With over 2 years of teaching experience, Shivani ma'am has previously worked at SRMS College of Engineering and Technology and gained significant practical legal experience through internships at the District Court in Moradabad. She has served as a judge in moot court competitions and a research intern at UNHCR. Her memberships in esteemed organizations like the International Trademark Association and the Mumbai Center for International Arbitration demonstrate her dedication to advancing legal knowledge and expertise. Ms. Shivani Gupta ma'am, academic and professional achievements have established her as a respected figure in the legal community, and we are honored to have her lead this course. Before we dive into this session, a quick reminder for all of you, please mute your microphones and turn off your video during the class, and feel free to ask them your questions at the end of the session during the Q&A session. Thank you all for joining, and let's get started. Let's warmly welcome the honorable speaker to the virtual stage. Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Legal Vidya, for providing me the opportunity. So, for the next 45 days, I would be your trainee or educator. your helping hand for providing the guidance over certain legal and so on. So, can I share the PPT? So it may be easy for me to just start the session.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. You just wait for a second. You just share. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, as you all know that, okay, thank you, everyone. Okay. Okay, as you all know that Sir of Legal Vidya has already introduced about what the course is all about. The course is related to the all the drafting aspects that are being introduced, that are being used in the day-to-day aspects, practicing aspects of the criminal courts and the civil courts specifically. We will also try to discuss all the drafts one by one on the very regular basis up to the next 45 days. So, first of all, starting with the drafting course, I think it's very mandatory and important to understand what's the hierarchy of the criminal courts. And before jumping on to the topic, as already mentioned upon the slide, that is the constitution of the criminal courts under the BNSS. You, everyone who is in the law, who is the belonging to the law fraternity or the general common citizen who have met the country, is acquainted with the fact that there are three new criminal laws that are being introduced, named as the BNS, BNSS, and the BSA in the for the year 2023, and were enforced from the 1st of the July 2024. So regarding that, before that the BNSS were there, BNS were there, or BSA were there, we have the three major criminal laws that named as the IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act. Now the every of the criminal law is replaced by the new act. Now, as the BNS provisions are being replaced by the sorry, IPC provisions are being replaced by the BNS now, and same as the CRPC provisions are being replaced by the BNSS. So, starting with the aspect of what are the drafting performers, what are the drafting structures, what are the drafting provisions under the say, CRPC earlier. So now we will discuss about what are the all aspects relating to drafting under the BNSS. Before jumping on to the drafting as directly in the today's class, I will like to give you a very rough idea and very a thorough idea about what is the BNSS actually and what is the constitution of the criminal courts. Because my dear students, first you have to be acquainted with what are the criminal courts and what's the constitution of their courts, what's the provision they are talking about, then only you might be acquainted with that. Okay, this court deals with these types of cases, this court has this jurisdiction, this court deals with this type of legal matter, this is the procedure, this is the trial procedure, or this is the aspect that is being forwarded, that is being followed by the judges in the court. As we all know that we are acquainted, if we belong to a law from a very beginning, from a very old days, then we are acquainted with that there is a class of the category under the CRPC 1973. There was a particular criminal courts, particular hierarchy we are studying from. Now, the one question will be in your mind regarding that, that there are certain other the criminal courts also. Under the Constitution of India, there are two courts, namely one is the Supreme Court and other is the High Court. I think every student here, 68 students are present. I think everyone is acquainted with the provisions of the two major apex courts in a country. Not audible properly. Voice is breaking. Sorry, Smriti, but I think that was which I will repeat what I'm saying. We have voice is lacking. Okay, wait. Let me. Audible now. Now the voice is okay. Okay, okay. I think it might be a network glitch. I think most probably. a second, okay. Wait, let me. Okay, okay, okay. Is the screen is visible to you all? Can we start it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, as you all know, that today's class is all about the introductory class. And before jumping now, particularly to the drafting, okay, the draft of the FIR is like this, okay, draft of the first appeal is like this, okay, draft of the we can say bail application is like this. Before going to that what's the particular draft is, we have to be acquainted ourselves with the first thing, that is what are the kinds of the court are there in our country. As we all know that the new criminal laws have already replaced the old colonial laws, that is the IPC, CRPC, and the Indian Evidence Act. So, other than that, other than the criminal courts, there are two apex court in the country. First is the Supreme Court, and next is the High Court of each and every state. And in the Constitution of India, both the courts are being mentioned under different articles. So I think there is no need to discuss in detail about the High Court and the Supreme Court here. There is no as such need. I feel so. But if any of the students have any doubt regarding jurisdiction of the High Court or jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, or what are the constitution, what are the powers of the High Court, then we can discuss that in the last 5 to 7 minutes as a doubt clearing. Now comes our own main objective about this certificate course, we are starting today for the next 45 days, is that we could be acquainted with what are the particular drafts or that are being used in the criminal proceedings, that are being used during the different criminal trial procedures that are being happening in the criminal court. So draft I will start discussing from tomorrow or day after tomorrow. I will explain you each and every draft of that, what are the provisions, what are the particular sections, what are the particular clauses about say so. But before that, from today, I would like to start. As we all know, BNSS has replaced the old colonial CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code. BNS stands for the Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita 2023, as I have already mentioned upon the slide. So there are certain category of the codes. Now you have to make your mind that there are certain points of the things like that CRPC provisions are being inbuilt in our mind, and so we are getting confused at what to remember, what not to remember. Regarding it, many students also have the doubt that do we have to prepare the old laws also, or do we have to prepare the new laws also. So we have to study comparatively. We have to keep in mind about the older provisions for the completion purposes specifically, and the new laws also. The new laws are specifically important for the persons who are going in the litigation, particularly. Okay, because for the litigation purpose, the new laws will play a crucial role. Now comes to the point, as you mentioned, seeing the I have mentioned with the slides, types of the courts in India. The types of courts means what are the criminal courts that are being established as per the law. And the law today's name is the BNSS 2023, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita. I already told you that there are the provisions for the High Court and the Supreme Court, and other than this Sahita, where there the provisions are being enshrined in the Constitution of India. But as per BNSS particularly, so making in mind that you have to prepare a particular class or the category, that is a category, that is a three categories of the criminal courts. I have already mentioned. Number one is the court of session. Then next is the judicial magistrate of first class court. Next, the third category is the judicial magistrate of second class court, and the last but not the least is the executive magistrates. Now, several other courts that are being under the CRPC, those are not mentioned in the BNSS now. My request to all the participants here, please keep the bare act of either in the soft copy or hard copy of BNSS with yourself, because it might be helpful for you only if I will mention any of the section, mention any of the clause, then you can just tick mark or read or go through after the session is over. So you must be just like, okay, this was the section or this was the clause being discussed by me. So we have to revise that. Now comes that why there is a need to reintroduce the constitution of the courts. There is a need to introduce the types of courts because we already have the well-established court system. Well-established court system doesn't saying that there is a lot of dependency of the cases, but now and the court system now being established under the BNSS is regarding what? As we all know that the new criminal laws are particularly dealing about one fact. That is in a way that the need of a citizen must be fulfilled. That because we already know that under the CRPC or under the previous other laws, there was a very complex or kind of a very lengthy system of courts. So now the under the BNSS, now the provisions for the establishment of the courts are just like that in a way that the person can approach any of the court very easily. So because we already know that our country India has the most efficient judicial system in the world, so that's why now comes a very important aspect. I will discuss each and every category, each and every class of the criminal courts that are being mentioned. Repeating once again, first is court of session, followed magistrate first class, followed by judicial magistrate second class, and followed by the executive magistrate. So now we can say that okay, are there any categorization? When we discuss about the hierarchy, one question will be in your mind that okay, is there any category like okay, we go with the Supreme Court, we then down forward to the High Court and then the Session Courts. Now at the lower level there are the magistrate courts and all. So one by one I would like to discuss. Now comes, that's why I am saying just keep the bare act either in the hard copy or in the soft copy, so it would be easy for you to get acquainted with the provisions, because it's very important for you to learn about that okay, what kind of class of a course is given under what kind of a provision, what provision of BNSS. Because when we are acquainted with the section of the code provision of the BNSS, then we can be just acquainted with like what's the jurisdiction of the same. So first of all, the court is a court of judicial magistrate. So under the section number 9, if anyone is having the BREC with them, please open and I will explain each and every aspect, because it's now none of the use to mention whole of the section upon the slide, because it not would be easy to mention each and everything of the section. If you wish to, then I will start running the BREC also in the soft copy. Now, first of all, the section number 9. Can you please open your BREC if you are having with yourself? Section number 9 of the BNSS provides for what judicial magistrate. Okay, not the judicial magistrates section. That if you open the BREC, then clause number 1. Clause number 1 says so what, that in every of the district and the every of the district of the country, there shall be established as many courts of the judicial magistrate of the yes, Akansha Gangwar, what happened? Uh, uh, many of the courts can be just like established of the judicial magistrate of either first class, judicial magistrate of the second class, but as per what, as per the state government may, after the consultation with the High Court or by the notification if specified, so can establish. It means that our one provision is clear that state government with the consultation of the High Court can establish as many of the judicial magistrate first class and the second class court in all the districts of the country. So the state will establish with the consultation of the High Court. Now there is also a one proviso being given here. Proviso is that state government with after the consultation with the High Court establish kind of a special courts also of judicial magistrate first class, a judicial magistrate second class. Now clause 2, this is what the state government will establish. It was about the judicial state government will establish with the consultation of the High Court. Now, under the clause number 2 of the same section number 9, it provides that the now comes in the mind the question is that who is the presiding officer of such courts? Very important question, because yeah, before the drafting you must be acquainted with the, if you are going to any court, approaching any court regarding any complaint, you must be acquainted with who is the presiding officer of particular court. So regarding that, the presiding officer of such court shall be appointed by the High Court. So the presiding officer or the judicial magistrate will be appointed by whom? By the High Court. So you must be acquainted with this. Now, clause 3 also in the section number 9, clause 3 states what? The clause 3 states that High Court, whenever it appears to be expedient or necessary, confers the power of the judicial magistrate of the first class or the second class or any member of the judicial magistrate of the state functioning as a judge in the civil court. Means the civil court magistrate can be acted as a judicial magistrate of first class or the second class if the high court is just in the time zone or just like is feeling necessary or expedient like that. Okay, now comes that is the section number 9, and particularly just keep in mind, okay, section number 9 dealing with what? Dealing with the courts of the judicial magistrate, either of the first class or either of the second class. And most important thing is what? State will establish with the consultation of the high court, and high court will appoint the presiding officer. Now comes the another test provision for the same. Another provision is what? Another provision say chief judicial magistrate. So chief judicial magistrate is being mentioned under the section number 10. Section number 10 of the BNSS, that is providing the provisions for the chief judicial magistrate, additional judicial magistrate, and so on. There are certain clauses in the same section also. That's why I'm asking you just to keep the bear with yourself, because everything is not humanly possible to put up on the PPT. Now, section number 10 of the BNSS is deal about what? Section clause number 1. It states that in every of the district, means talking about every district of the country, the High Court shall appoint a judicial magistrate of the first class to be the chief judicial magistrate. Means that the judicial magistrate that we studied under the section number 9 here would be enshrined as the chief judicial magistrate of the first class. As in, and next what? There are certain additional chief judicial magistrates also that would be as per the provisions, as per the high court say so, and would be appointed. Now clause number 2 also saying the same, or clause number 2 is saying what? High court may appoint any of the judicial magistrate of the first class to be an additional chief judicial magistrate, and such magistrate shall have or all have the powers of a chief judicial magistrate under the Sahita for the BNSS only, or any other law for the time being. And fourth, for as the High Court may direct. So here also the High Court will provide all the guidelines. Now the clause number 3 of the same, clause number 3 also says what? Clause number 3 says that High Court designate any judicial magistrate of the first class, or we can say any in any subdivision as a subdivision judicial magistrate, and relieve him of the responsibilities that are being specified in the section as per the occasion requires. Now, the clause number 4 of the chief judicial magistrate is states something else. It states what? That the subject to the general control of the chief judicial magistrate, any subdivisional magistrate also shall have and exercise such power of the supervision and control over the work of the judicial magistrate. But what other than the chief judicial magistrate? Now comes the another aspect, that is the special judicial magistrate that I have just a second before told you under the clause number 3. Special judicial magistrate just is provisions are provided under section number 11. So section number 11 contains the two clauses once again. Section number 11. First of all, you have to just you are not just I'm not asking you to just go and acquainted with each and every section and start learning each and every clauses, but you have to be acquainted with what section of the BNSS deals with what kind of a court, what class of the court, and what the jurisdiction of that court. So it's very important that before we moving further to the drafting, we jumping further to the different aspects of magistrate courts, we have to be acquainted with the provisions. Now comes the section 11, as you also seeing upon the screen, that is the BNSS provides for the special judicial magistrate. Under the section number 11, the clause 1 says that High Court may. Now the here state doesn't play any of the role. State government is not playing any role. Now the important role is of High Court. High Court may, if requested by the center or the state government so to do, confer upon any person who hold. Confer here the powers are being conferred. Means the presiding officer will be like any of the person whom the powers are being conferred, who holds has held any post under the government or any of the persons conferred or conferable or by under this Sanhita on a judicial magistrate of the first class or the judicial magistrate of the second class in respect to the particular cases or to the particular classes of cases in the particular local area. So this is what mentioned. But there is also one proviso there. Proviso is that there is no shall be no power shall be conferred on a person or no. What's the restriction being imposed? That is being imposed under the proviso that he possesses such qualifications or experiences in the relation to the legal affairs as the High Court may by rules specify. Now, this is a proviso for the clause number 1. Now, we will come to the clause number 2 of the same. Clause number 2 says that the any kind of a such magistrate shall be called special judicial magistrate, as I have also mentioned under the section number 11. We discussed about the special judicial magistrate shall be appointed at such term not exceeding 1 year at a time. If the High Court appointed any of the person and of the judicial magistrate of first class or second class, the tenure for that appointment was not exceeding the 1 year. High Court means general by the special order or the direct anything. Okay, now this is these are what the provision related to the special judicial magistrate. Now comes the subordination of the judicial magistrate. Very important aspect because in the day-to-day litigation we have to acquainted with the most of the cases with the subordination of the judicial magistrate, and the provisions have been provided under the section number 13. Now once again section number 13 contains the two clauses. One clause is that the every chief judicial magistrate shall be subordinate to the session judge. Now comes what that they must be subordinate to the session judge. Very important thing to keep in mind all. Every other judicial magistrate shall, subject to the general control of the session judge, be subordinate to the chief judicial magistrate, means CJM of that district. Under the clause number 2, the things that I am reciting right now are just mentioned clearly in the Bear Act, as it is the things are being mentioned. So there is no as such a point to raise from where I am discussing or why I am not mentioning upon the slide everything. Now comes the clause number 2 of the same clause number 2 of the section number 13 says what? It states that the chief judicial magistrate may from time to time make rules or give special orders consistent with the Sanhita as to be to distribution of the business among the judicial magistrate that are being subordinate to him. Now comes a very important aspect, that is the executive magistrate. Before jumping to the section number 14 of the BNSS, I would like to get acquainted with some other facts regarding what executive magistrates holds a category or classes of the magistrate, particularly in the CRPC. Also, we have discussed those provisions. So, regarding what, first of all, it's a district magistrate. District magistrate just followed up by the subdivisional magistrate, that is known as the SDM. Now the district magistrate is being divided or classified into the two classes of the categories magistrate. That is the executive magistrate that we discussed under the section number 14, and the special executive magistrate. Okay, but now as we are discussing about the criminal law, so we will discuss the provisions of the BNSS specifically. So regarding that, section number 14 is for the executive magistrate. Can you please mark in your Bear Act because it's very important. And hierarchy of the criminal courts is such a question that is being asked in the every academic exam. Either it's a very important question for the academic purposes also, and you have to clearly mention the hierarchy. You have to clearly mention what are the provisions of different courts, and what are the hierarchy level, what are the constitution, what are the jurisdiction, who is the presiding officer, who will appoint the presiding officer, what's the tenure of the presiding officer, what's the qualification of the presiding officer, and so on, from the BLLB first semester to LLB or LLM if you are doing pursuing so. Now, regarding the litigation aspect, also regarding the provisions of learning the drafting skills, also the hierarchy is very important to be acquainted with. Now comes the section number 14 that is being mentioned upon your slide. That is section number 14 is also contains the many more clauses. It contains particularly six clauses. Six clauses states what? First of all, the first clause says that in particularly every district of the country, the state government means that particularly state government will appoint as many person as which thinks fit. And a very very important thing to manage, keep it in your mind. There is no such categorization or number of the persons presiding officers are being mentioned in the Sanhita, not mentioned in the law that okay, each and every district must have only two CJMs or two executive magistrates, as the government may think fit, so as the High Court may think fit, so or it's what the necessity is, as per the necessity, as per the population, as per the pendency of the cases, the number of the appointment of the presiding officers can be more or less. Now shall appoint one of them to the district magistrate. Now clause number 2 states what? I'm discussing about section number 14 of the BNSS. Clause number 2 states that the state government may appoint any executive magistrate to be an additional district magistrate, and such magistrate shall have such of a parts of a district magistrate only, as per the provisions of the clause 1 under the Sanhita or any other law for time being in force. If the Sanhita is not there or any other law is being enforced, then as per law as directed by the state government. Now, clause number three says so what? Clause number three states that whenever in any of the consequences of the if that becoming vacant, then what would happen? Any officer that is succeeding will be temporarily to the executive administration of the district or to the executive or such officer board shall be appointed in the pending the order of the regard until the pendency of the order of the state government. That person, that temporarily appointed person, will exercise all the parts or perform all the duties and respectively that are being conferred and that are being imposed by this Sanhita on the district magistrate, and that are being mentioned under the clause number 3 in the case of a particularly vacancy. Now clause number 4 says so that the state government may place an executive magistrate in the charge of an subdivision and may relieve him from the charge on occasion requires, and the magistrate so placed in charge of a subdivision shall be called the subdivisional magistrate. So there now this, comes the clause number 5 of the section number 14 itself. Says that the state government may, by the general or any of the special order and subject to the control and directions as it may be deemed fit to impose, delegate its part under the subsection number 4 of the district magistrate. I think delegation of the power you have already studied under the administrative law also. But regarding their delegation of power or regarding the delegation of power in the case of a BNS, both are different things. But there are also delegation means conferring the power. Here also delegation means conferring the power for the temporary thing. Okay. Now there is a comes another clause. Uh, Ma'am, kindly use both English and Hindi. Oh, okay. We'll try to discuss in Hindi also. And now it comes the clause number 6. Clause number 6 states what? That nothing in this section shall preclude the state government from conferring under any law for time being in force on a commissioner of a police or all the parts of an executive magistrate. So that's what the clause number 6 it states so. Now comes a very important aspect, that is the special executive magistrates. Executive magistrates that we discussed under the section number 14. Now comes the special executive magistrate. Special executive magistrate comes under the section number 15. Section number 15 of the BNSS is uh, particularly telling us about special executive magistrate means that state government may appoint any of the person for a particularly term or a particularly tenure, as if it thinks fit executive magistrate or any other police officer also. Here is very important to mention that the police officer can also be appointed or equivalent to be known as the special executive magistrate or particular areas or for the performance of a particular functions or confer any of the powers such as special executive magistrate much be conferable under the Sahita on the executive magistrate as it may deems fit. So, the explanation of the section number 15 of the BNSS can be stated that the special executive magistrate can be appointed temporarily and the state government will appoint particularly for a term, and the term will be like, okay, ki any person who is not a police or who is a police officer but whose rank is not below the superintendent of the police. So this is what the section number 15. Section number 15 from the law point of view is not as such important from the litigation point of view, but being a law student, you must be acquainted with. That's why I have discussed here. Now comes a very important aspect, that is the court of session. But before I jump into the provisions of section number 8 of BNSS, I would like to tell you one thing. That is, have you heard about the one word that is a middle court? I think everyone must have heard. Yes, Devashi Sardar. Yes, what happened? If any query, then put it in the chat box and we'll take the query in the last few minutes. Now comes the middle court. I think every law student who studied or who studied the. Wait a minute. Am I visible? Actually, got a random call. Am I audible and visible? Please give a thumbs up. Possible. Okay. Thank you, Nandita. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Now, if you are acquainted with one term, a quota session is a very common term. I think every law student who is doing the internship in the court is will be like rushing to the quota session. Okay, the presiding officer or the judge is there, so we have to run for the bail application to the court of session. Okay, the statement is there, so we are running to the rushing to the court of session. Before jumping into the court of session provisions, there is a term that is middle court. I think every law intern must be acquainted with. Middle court states what? Middle court particularly tends about the court of session, where there are two categories. I didn't mention those things upon the slide, but I think you must be acquainted with because I got the point कि बताना जरूरी है. That's why. तो कोर्ट ऑफ सेशन को हमने क्लासीफाई किया है ना दो कैटेगरीज में. एक तो क्लासीफाई किया है हमने एडिशनल कोर्ट्स में और एक क्लासीफाई किया है हमने असिस्टेंट कोर्ट्स में. ठीक है. अब ये दो कैटेगरीज को हमने पर्टिकुलरली फिर आगे जाके कोर्ट ऑफ सेशन में पर्टिकुलरली बताया और उसके बाद में हमने ना एक और वर्ड सुना है अपनी रेगुलर मतलब लॉ जर्नी में, दैट इज द स्पेशल कोर्ट. So these all the classes categories of the courts are being put together under the middle court. Now comes the court of session. I think you must be acquainted with this. कोर्ट ऑफ सेशन का जो प्रोविजन है वो सेक्शन नंबर 8 बीएनएसएस में दिया गया है. वो क्या कहता है बीएनएसएस में जो आपका सेक्शन नंबर 8 है उसका भी क्लॉज 1. एंड वन मोर थिंग, सारे लॉ स्टूडेंट्स ना ये सोच रहे होंगे कि हमें सब सेक्शन पढ़ना है, जैसे कि सेक्शन दिया हुआ है, सेक्शन नंबर 1 दिया है, सेक्शन नंबर 2 दिया है, 3 दिया है. तो अब देखो बच्चे, जब आपको बीएनएसएस आप रीड करोगे थरोली, तो वहां पर आपको जब सेक्शन के अंदर जो ब्रैकेट में 1 2 3 4 दिया हुआ है, मार्क किया हुआ है, उसको आपको रीड करना है क्लॉज. तो ये जस्ट यू आप इसको पेंसिल से लिख लो अपनी उसमें डायरेक्ट में. आप कहीं अब कोर्ट में आप जाओगे और आप इंटर्नशिप कर रहे हो या फिर आप लिटिगेशन में डायरेक्ट प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हो, आप आर्ग्यूमेंट कर रहे हो प्रिसाइडिंग ऑफिसर के सामने, और वहां पे जाके आप बोल रहे हो, आप कोर्ट को बता रहे हो कि ओके द प्रोविजन इज दिस, और वहां पे जाके आप फिर सेक्शन बोल रहे हो, तो वो आपका ना ब्लंडर हो जाएगा. तो यू मस्ट बी एक्वाइंटेड विद. मैम डोंट नो हिंदी. Okay. So, yes, my command is also in the English particularly, but one of the students asked me, that's why. I'm repeating what I have said. Okay. When you open the BR Act, when you start reading the provision section is there. Okay. Everyone is acquainted with, okay, this is the section, this is the preamble of the section. Preamble means the heading of the section. Okay. This is the banner of the section. We understand. But after that, there are certain provisions being enshrined as 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, D, or it's Roman 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you have to do, you have to just put like, okay, these are the clauses. What I have discussed till now, those are the clauses of the BNSS. So keep in mind, don't read them as a subsection. or something else, okay, or subclause or like that. These are all the clauses. Now we will jump into the section number 8 of the BNSS, that is clause 1. Here are some other clauses also. I think there are so 8 to 9 clauses are there. I am not reminding right now. So there are 8 to 9 clauses. One by one we will take. Clause 1 particularly says what? Clause 1 says that the state government shall establish a court of session for every session division. And the clause number 2, clause number 2 states what? That the every court of session shall be presided by a judge, that to be a. So here, okay, I got one more question. Sorry, got a random call from the call listener. That's why. Okay. I think any of the students had asked me. I lost the message. Can you please repeat or unmute or rewrite what's the that? How would you identify that? Okay, this is the section. This is the clause. And look, bache, if this is your question, then the only thing to identify is just go through the commentary of the same. Either you have to, because in the commentary, when you go through the commentary of the any of the act, then you are easily acquainted with, okay, this provisions deal with the dealing as clause, is dealing as a subclause, this provision is dealing as a subclause, this provision is dealing as an article. The easiest way is like this. And Saurabh, you raised your hand. If any query, then put it in the chat box. And most important, if you are taking any of the lectures, then your yes, Prachi, if you are taking any of the lecture, then your professor will automatically will tell you. Just for example, now I am telling you, teaching you about the BNSS provision. So I mark the thing that okay, if I am reading section number 8, section number 11, 30. So under that, if I am reading 1, 2, 3, 4, then those are the clauses particularly. Either go with through the commentary, or if you are taking the lecture, then it will be easy. Your professor will make you available, because every professor goes through the commentary once. Okay. Now comes, and the commentary is also available sometimes on the digital library, also on the online platforms also. ICC Online also provide the certain explanations for the certain laws and the provisions. So kindly make a habit to visit the SCC Online blogs every day, because somehow a kind of a 2 to 3 legal provisions are being explained on the SCC Online blogs daily. So you can be acquainted with, okay, this is the clause, this is the section, this is the article, this is the subsection, and so on. Yes, we were discussing about the court of sessions now. Before further moving to the conclusion of the session, would like to acquainted with few more facts about the same. There, as we all know that the court of session includes section number 8. Court of session provisions are there, but now there are certain additional session judges also. If you are a law student rushing to the court, or doing the internship in the court and with your seniors, sir, then every time you just see that people are rushing to the additional session judge court, particularly, or the advocate or the session court judges. So additional session court judges are provisions are also there, that are under the clause number 3, clause number 4, and the clause number 5 of the BNSS. Here, additional session judges are most important thing is appointed by the High Court itself, and just to exercise the jurisdiction in the court of a session. And trials under all kind of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita or other laws, or the savings classes of the criminal territorial divisions are there. So section clause number 4 or clause 5 dealing with the same. Now comes a very important aspect, and that is there is no as such additional session judge is there by the chief judicial magistrate, judge or the magistrate shall be deemed to have the jurisdiction to any such application. Now, one question will be there in everyone's mind, that what are the provisions for the assistant session judges? I already earlier told you that there are additional session judges. As we are acquainted with the facts of the CRPC, that there were the present in the CRPC 1973 the provisions for the assistant session judges. BNS has removed the provisions and the concept of the assistant session judges. Assistant session judges concept is removed. Most important one, another class is there, metropolitan magistrates. If anyone must be reminded of the CRPC provisions of the metropolitan magistrates, I think the students who have completed their LLB and who are in the practice must be acquainted with. And there are also the metropolitan courts in the metropolitan cities. Now the courts are being abolished. Now the provisions are no longer existing under the new laws of BNSS. Now we can say as per the higher level, now there are the High Court and the Supreme Court. I will make you acquainted with the provisions of those also. But for now, if we study the comparison between the hierarchy or the study of the criminal courts under the CRPC and the study and the hierarchy of the criminal courts under the BNSS. So two most important provisions, that is the assistant session judge provision and the metropolitan magistrate provision. These are being thoroughly abolished, being removed from the new act. Those were in the CRPC, and rest remaining all the provisions, all the courts are being enshrined as such same. Now, middle courts we have discussed, earlier initiative courts we have discussed, a higher level of the courts, High Court and the Supreme Court. Article number 124 of the Constitution of India providing the provisions of next for the Supreme Court, and Article number 214 that are being providing the provisions for the High Court in the particularly every state. So these were all about the hierarchy of the criminal courts. To where we have discussed most of the extent that the law student or the practitioner advocates are rushing through and going through, grinding through each and every court daily. Now, from the tomorrow, we will discuss upon each and every aspect of the criminal litigation with the particular draft. As per the conclusion, I have already mentioned upon the slide, and I think I must read it loud. The goal of the Constitution is the administration of the justice. We are all acquainted with that. The Constitution is just like providing the administration of the justice, that equality, and so on. Justice can be approached by approaching its court with the help of a justice system. It's very easy for the people of the nation to stand against the wrong and claim their rights, either in the form of a civil rights or either in the form of their fundamental rights. The system is claimed that a right person by the lower court may appeal before the high court in the higher courts in the case of dissatisfaction. Means that the person aggrieved party is from the aggrieved party is of the session court, then can could apply to the a high court, and a high court aggrieved party can apply to the Supreme Court. So that's it. Now comes the queries. If anyone having any of the queries, please unmute yourself or either put the queries in the chat box and would like to entertain each of the query and will like to answer to the possible and would like to clear all your doubts. Yes, please. Because the course is all about the drafting, so I have to just give the rough idea about what the course hierarchy is or what's the provisions under the BNS. Yes, please, yes, please ask the queries because it's not a one way thing that I am just giving the lecture and you are just taking the words, drinking the words. Please ask if anyone having any of the doubt. Please go ahead. And from the tomorrow, I will share the drafts in the group also. I will ask the legal vidya to share the drafts and we'll discuss each and every draft on through the PPT. We'll make you acquainted with. Does the Supreme Court and the High Court have the original jurisdiction? No, as such. No, as such. There's the appellate jurisdiction. But Supreme Court or High Court can take the scheme auto cognizance, particularly for the criminal cases. Anyone else have any question? 62 people are there, including me and Legal Vidya. Now, I think 60 people are there now who are the learners. So, out of the 60 people, no one having any doubt. Everyone is just acquainted with what's the hierarchy of the courts. Then, brilliant, very good. I'm just expecting that you people start asking me the question from tomorrow. Doubts must be clear now. If you have no doubts, then please give me thumbs up. Today, no doubts. Okay, Kirtan Mehta. Okay, Uma Chaudhary, Rahul. Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, okay. That's fine, that's fine. Just okay. We will ask a question from tomorrow, Saurav. Yeah, definitely. You start asking the questions because law is all about the discussing. The how much we will discuss, we will acquainted with more and more of the facts. Because you are who appoint the metropolitan court. Arpit Gupta, metropolitan courts are being abolished. Now there are no provisions. I have already told you na, that metropolitan courts are being abolished. No provisions are there. So now the metropolitan courts are being removed. And assistant session judges courts are also being removed. Another question is there. We want more information about the hierarchy of the codes. Reshma, what the more information? I have given you the provisions, and these are the provisions that you must be acquainted with. BNSS have the provisions enshrined with the particular sections. I have told you. If you wish to, I will share the PPT to the legal Vidya. Then they will make you available the PPT. You can mention the tick mark the session. If any doubt, then we clear in the next session. If any other doubt, then please let me know. Or shall we wind up the session? And looking forward for tomorrow's session. Okay, madam. Thank you. Yes, Reshma. Okay, Kirtan. Madam, what is the basic law that we need to study before start drafting? Before start drafting, okay, look one thing. Drafting is involving every aspect. It's involving the civil drafting and it's involving the criminal drafting. So whatever the drafting you are particularly gonna do, then I have the basic toolkit. That toolkit includes your BNSS, your BSE, most important. Those these two acts are very important for the criminal. Now, if you're looking forward for the civil, then what kind of a civil drafting you are doing? Either you are doing for the negotiation instrument or for the family laws, then have the barracks of the same laws. For the law, insolvency law you are doing, so I have the barrack of the insolvency law. But basic toolkit involves BNS, IPC, CRPC, BNS. This is the basic toolkit. One more query is there. But when it's a time for the violation of the FR, directly the Supreme Court or the High Court at the time for yes, Supreme Court and the High Courts have the original jurisdiction for the violation of the fundamental rights. You can approach the High Supreme Court via medium of the different writs. Writs are there, na mandamus, quo warranto, prohibition, certiorari, so on. So you can approach the court by the medium of the writs. Also, madam, please discuss the MCQ questions that are being asked in the AIBA exam. First of all, best wishes for the AIBA exam. Okay, we'll try to discuss. Yes, the MCQs. Okay, start practicing the previous year questions as much as possible. As you already know that the day before to yesterday, the syllabus is being updated. Syllabus include both the new and the old criminal laws. So start preparing and marking. Either purchase any of the Pariksha Manthan MCQ book or the OP Tripathi book, and Pariksha Manthan book is there. Good book is there, and yes, that include a lots of questions. Yes, anyone have any else any doubt, or shall we wind up? In criminal code hierarchy, which code about the death penalty? Look, no as a jurisdiction is provided. The death penalty would be provided, but the court of session can provide the death penalty. And there is a large, huge debate upon the death penalty also. Now that there are some human rights groups also just asking for abolish the capital punishment and so on. So there is no such provisions are being made under the BNS. Looking forward that the amendments will be made soon. Anyone else have any doubt? Thank you. Yes, Saurabh, welcome. Your session will run for the next 45 days. I think it would be a highly insightful session for you all. If any manner it could help you in learning the drafting, we'll share it. Yes, I will. I will. Everything will be on the board. And please just revise all the provisions that we share today of that BNSS. Na, you must revise once because Sunday, Manikta Pandey Sunday, the legal Vidya will make you available the schedule of the classes and the timings, and they will let you know that the Sunday will be classes or not. Indeed, it's a help. Thank you, Chidu. Thank you, Ranvijay. Would there be any practical work? Yes, I will try to do. Yeah, PPT I will. And for regarding the PPT. Regarding the practical work, yes, will give you one exercise daily, and you have to just make me available those assignment kind of a thing. I will make you available so that you can make the practice of the things that are being taught. Yes. Okay, Devashish. Thank you. Thank you, Legal Vidya. Thank you, everyone, participants present over here,
Ma'am, I think
giving their time.
yeah,
And
I I think there is no other queries. So shall we wind up the session?
yeah, sure, sure, please, absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you. Happy dinner, everyone. We'll meet tomorrow. Timings will be provided by the updated by the Legal Vidya itself in the WhatsApp group. We'll meet you tomorrow in the class. Happy
As
learning, happy studying. Keep the box.
As we come to the end of our very first session in the Advanced Legal Drafting Certification course, 45-day certificate course, and thank you so much, ma'am, to take a wonderful session and explain the introduction to drafting and hierarchy of courts and have the provisions of Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Samhita and the structures of Indian courts. And I would like to thank to all the participants who have stayed in the class till the end. And lastly, to all of you, let's continue this momentum. I hope you found today's class and enlightening as I did, and I am sure we are all looking forward to the upcoming sessions where we will dive even deeper into the intricacies of civil and criminal drafting, arbitration, PIL, rate, matrimonial, domestic violence, sexual harassment, and many more. So thank you once again and see you all in the next class. Now everyone can leave the session. Now everyone can leave the session. Thank you so much.